So I've played each class 225 in both betas and have played previously in other versions of the game, and I want to give you everything that you're going to need to know about specific class mechanics and general playstyles about each class to help you decide, if you don't have that much time, on what class to pick. Starting off with my personal favorite class, the Rogue, they're going to have a mix of melee and ranged abilities, allowing you to use ranged weapons such as bows and crossbows, or melee weapons such as swords and daggers. My personal favorite thing about this class is going to be the mobility that it offers. This class is far more mobile than any other class out there, especially if you're able to use your melee abilities such as Twisting Blade. This ability, in combination with your mobility skills, basically allow you to recycle through them, reduce your cooldowns, and jump around the battlefield like crazy. They do a lot of damage, and arguably are potentially the highest burst damage in the game compared to the other classes, while also offering a ton of other options, such as the class specialization system, the combo point system, where you're going to be using several different things to generate combo points, and then using those combo points to amplify your core skills. This allows you to really do intense amount of damage right up front with this combo point feature. And if you're someone that really enjoys sort of a split play style of potentially running a ranged class one day and a more melee focused class another day, and running around the map insanely quickly, the Rogue is definitely a class you're going to want to look into. Now, the Sorcerer is going to be your quintessential ranged magic damage dealer, using weapons like the staff or the wand to cast spells from afar. This class is going to be immensely strong, and in my opinion, going to be potentially the strongest class set up for launch due to their high ranged consistent damage in combination with their massive durability. They may not seem like it, however, when you start to get a few levels into them, you can start taking barrier type skills like ice armor or even additional legendary items that prevent you from taking damage, and then adding into skill points which basically give you additional damage reduction if you haven't taken damage. This allows them to do massive damage and consistent damage with things like Hydra or Chain Lightning, while also being able to just negate half if not more damage from various different types of monsters with the barrier and those skill points attached. Their unique class specialization is going to be the enchantment system, where they can take already learned abilities and amplify your skill bars with additional effects associated with them. This is going to make things like Hydra be able to potentially spawn after using a certain amount of mana, or potentially adding additional firewalls when you're casting your skills. This is incredibly interesting because it allows massive amounts of customization for the skills and how they interact. If you're looking for massive magical damage and high survivability, Sorcerer is your pick. Now, the Druid is arguably the most unique, but also the one that's been criticized the most. Picking up the Druid, you are going to have a little bit of a more tough time during the early leveling process compared to things like Sorcerer, Necromancer, etc. But their payoff is extremely high. They have massive combo potential, usually comboing certain different elements like lightning and earth, or potentially comboing different shape shifting together in their later skill tree. Not only that, but also you can actually transform into different creatures like the werebear, the werewolf, etc. Or you can use ranged magic abilities like landslide to do massive damage to your opponents. Druid also got slightly shafted in the betas due to us not being able to interact with their class specialization, the animal spirits mechanic. As far as we've heard, we're going to be able to pick one of 4 different spirits, and they're going to offer us unique bonuses for that spirit. When we actually get access to the system, I'm sure the Druid will be a lot stronger, and if you're looking for someone that's going to be interacting with a lot of different forms, definitely staying true to the name of Druid, then Druid is definitely going to be someone that you're going to want to try out. Now, in order to start talking about the Barbarian, we have to talk about the Arsenal system. This is the most interesting system in the game in terms of the class specializations, because the Barbarian can actually wield 4 different weapons. They have 2 two-handers and 2 one-handers. Now, the earlier leveling process for the Barb can have a similar feel to the Druid. However, due to the ability to run 4 different offensive legendary aspects on the weapons alone, with 2 of those being two-handers and having double effectiveness, you're going to have massive potential to create some insane builds as we get more legendary items on the Barbarian. One key thing about the Barbarian is, unlike the other classes, you actually have to go into battle to generate your resource and then use it on your skills, which means you really have to be upfront and personal to deal damage. However, this doesn't mean that they're bad at all. They have several different types of builds, offering things like some sort of tanky, thorns type of build, or even bleed potential or massive burst damage with the upheaval skill. There's a lot of potential with the Barb, but they certainly do force a certain playstyle, which is get in there, get your fury stacked, and then blast away. Unlike the other classes, this is definitely probably the most particular class in terms of needing a specific player to play it, but if that's you, then you're really going to enjoy the Barbarian. Lastly, we have the Necromancer. Now, the Necromancer actually has 2 different distinct play styles within its class specialization. When you start off the game, at level 1, you'll receive an ability known as Summon Skeletal Warrior or Summon Skeletons. This ability allows you to summon corpses for an army to follow you. When you unlock the Book of the Dead at certain points and unlock additional summons, such as the mages and the golems, you can actually change what they're doing, turn them into bone mages or something different, and allow you to have a massive army following you with all sorts of different specialized minions. Or you can go the opposite direction and sacrifice them to gain even more power for yourself. So whether or not you want to go ahead and have a massive army following you around is up to you. But one thing's for sure, using things like the bone and blood of your enemies is going to be a constant theme with the Necromancer, giving them arguably some of the highest consistent damage alongside the Sorcerer with their summons and even without their summons due to their bone spells as well as some of their blood spells. They also have some of the strongest combinations of legendary items in the game so far. We'll see if Blizzard decides to change that in the future, but overall the Necromancer is situated quite well to also be an extremely strong pick when the game comes around at launch. So that's going to be my quick review of each class in a couple of minutes per class, some of their gameplay, some of their skills, some of their actual mechanics with their class systems. It's important to note that this beta we are participating in is going to be the launch version of Diablo 4, or at least extremely close to it. Blizzard doesn't plan on doing any massive changes like they did from the first beta to the second beta. This is due to them kind of getting just a big test in terms of how well their servers are going to perform, and they don't want to mess up any potential testing on their part. So if any of these sound interesting to you, this is most likely going to be what you're going to get on launch, and that's going to be extremely good for you, assuming you actually like a lot of these playstyles. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more Diablo 4 content, be sure to sub to the channel, and I'll see you all tomorrow.